Good evening. My name is Corey Hines. I work for Marion County Fire Rescue, fire department here in Central Florida. And today I'm going to cover a short video of smoke detector safety tips and information for the elderly. We currently work in an elderly population. It's the second highest, largest community here in Central Florida that has retirees. We run a lot of calls. We do a lot of community involvement for trying to do smoke detector installs, as well as education for the public. So today I'm just going to talk about a couple different types of detectors. I'm going to maybe bust some myths about what fire department capabilities are and aren't when we come to your home. We're also going to cover some of the statistical data resulting in casualties and fires every year. And we're also going to go over some of the maintenance and function procedures of the smoke detector. So we're just going to go over a quick little thing here of stuff you may need for smoke detector install. We're also going to go over some of the placement as well as where you'd want to mount this on the ceiling. So whenever we arrive to your home, you are going to need to have a step ladder that's able to reach the smoke detector. As you can see, it's mounted, I don't know, about 6 inches off the ceiling there. We either want it on the ceiling or off the ceiling, only because that little space right there, it doesn't really pick it up so well. So before we go any further, some of the stuff that we're going to go over, are there different types of smoke detectors? Yes, there are. There's many different types. The main two I'm going to cover is photoelectric and ionization. Those are the two most common residential smoke detectors, as well as combination detectors where you have your CO as well as smoke detectors. Do you know how to operate and maintain them? A lot of people just assume they just sit on the wall. You also need to make sure that you're doing battery checks. If they're hardwired, that the plug is actually plugged in. All these things we will cover. And should you not have one, how do you get in touch with your local fire department or agency, Red Cross, anything like that, that will help you either provide them free of charge, just make sure you're covered. So let's go over some of the statistical data. Out of the fires reported last year, 74% of them alarms were present. 41% of those resulted in civilian death. So that's basically 3 out of 5 homes. 55% of the population that does not have them risk death or dying. So obviously the early detection of fire inside the residence with audible alarms is extremely crucial in evacuation and civilian safety. So there again, we have a big elderly population here, so that's my target audience. I know that there might be some physical limitations as far as getting outside the house. Might have trouble being alone, hearing impaired, seeing any of these things during a fire. These are all different variables that might come into play when it comes to risk of injury while exiting a structure. So some of the things we do is we do come out, we do help install them, and when I mean install them, we don't physically actually do any of the hardwiring. These are some of the myths that I want to bust. We take a little bit of a liability there because we're not electricians, but we will come out, we will actually test them, make sure that they're working. We do battery changes. This should be done every time you flip your clocks ahead or back due to daylight savings time. Just make sure that your batteries are working. They're really easy to mount. Sometimes if you can have a neighbor or everybody, handyman, anything like that, help you, we advise that just because they can actually take the risk and liability of the electrical component of it. Other than that, the only thing that we ask is that you actually have a ladder, step ladder or anything like that handy for us. We do not use our ladders, they would damage your walls and everything else like that. Simple tool, just simple as a Phillips head screwdriver, easy enough to get it on and off the wall for battery replacement or to check the date on the back for expiration. And then each one is going to come with a 9-volt battery. This is in case loss of power, that you still are actually covered on the event of emergency with loss of power. Hurricane season down here in Florida is big. You know, it could be a plethora of things that you could run out of power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up there and just show you how easy it is to remove the smoke detector from the wall. And then we're going to go over some of the components of the smoke detector. So as you can see, it's mounted right now. Let me take my phone here. I'll show you. You can see that there's a test button right there. It is illuminated green. This means that it does have power and that it is operating correctly because it is illuminated green. Now, if it's illuminated red or blinking red, you'd probably hear a chirp, either signaling that you have a low battery, that it needs time to change, or that you've hit the expiration date. As you can see right here, the wires does have an electrical plug into this. Like I said, this is the hardwire component. If this one alarms, all the other ones in the system will alarm. So not just this one picking it up off either a kitchen or a living room, it will alert the other ones down closer to bedrooms, hallways, anything like that. So what we're gonna do is this has like a little tab. If I can get that off. Easy peasy. As you can see on the back, there's a date on here of 5/15/18. They suggest that these are good for approximately 7 to 10 years. You can also see the date that was actually posted on here by the manufacturer. We do suggest that anytime you get a new smoke detector that you go over all the manufacturer's recommendations, use, maintenance, anything like that. So we'll just take a quick look at this. So like I said, there's a couple different types of smoke detectors. This one right here is an ionization smoke detector. Okay, so you're probably curious, well, how does that work? Simple. So it keeps a little piece of radiation in there. Mind you, it's not harmless to you. It has a American in it. Basically what it does is the smoke filters in through here. It gets ionized, the air gets ionized in here, and then as soon as it figures out the smoke particles, it will alarm at whatever the suggested rate is that's been programmed into this thing. So it's pretty easy. Photoelectric, on the other hand, uses light sensitivity. So anytime there is an obstruction of light in here, they normally have an LED or a UV light bulb in here. Some of them you might even see more commercial. If they're mounted on the wall, there might be a light source right here that's constantly in connection with the smoke detector. So any obstruction of light would make it go off. Photoelectric are a little bit more sensitive, ionization are a little bit more sensitive just due to the air and everything like that, humidity and everything like that can get in them, causing false alarms and everything like that. So placement of these things is very important. You don't want this up over a stove where you're getting steam or anything like that. You're gonna have tons of false alarms. As you can see, it's chirping. Why is it chirping? Well, I took the battery out. So it's already alerting me that, hey, battery needs to be put in there. So I already took it out. Probably should have showed you that part. It's real simple. It's just a little slide car thing right here on the side. It'll let you know that it is 10-year battery backup. Don't get me wrong, the battery itself is not good for 10 years. All you gotta do is slide that open. You can see where the positive and negative go. It's actually pretty simple. Fat side will go to the positive there. Push it in. As soon as you push it in, you'll be good to go. And then we'll be able to mount it back on the wall. So, in order to give it a weekly test, try and bury this thing right here. All you really have to do is hold this test tab right here. As you can see, an alarm to let me know that it's actually in working condition. Real fast, we'll just line up the quick tabs right here. Plug that back in. And we'll just spin this back onto the wall. As you can see, once we're done with all that, our illuminated green light is still back on, saying that it works real good. Now this specific detector you can find at your local hardware store. They're rather inexpensive, only costs close to about $20–25. So another way to get in touch with people that might not have the means for smoke detector coverage, we do have a lot of programs. Like I said, we've used Red Cross in the past. We've gone community to community, actually doing safety checks, smoke detector installs. These are all provided by the services of the Red Cross. We also do have fire prevention division. If you were to call, you can normally get, I think it's 2 smoke detectors. They will also send them out to the local station for your jurisdiction, and they will send the fire department out to install them. Getting back to what I said, we will install them. We can put them on the wall, we can put the battery in them, but we will not do any wiring. So the wiring already has to be present for us to clip it back in, or you're gonna have to grab a handyman or somebody that can take on that type of project. Let's see. So the only other one I didn't really cover is, we already covered the first 2, that's photoelectric and ionization. The third one is a combination detector. Like I said, you'll see those a lot just for carbon monoxide as well as smoke. They're integrated together. Those are normally an ionization detector. So we usually suggest that you at least have one of those present in the home just for carbon monoxide, especially if you have gas appliances, gas water heater, anything like that. Anything that's going to pick up incomplete combustion that doesn't actually have smoke or flame. Going back to that, ionization works really well with high flame. The photoelectric works really good with smoldering fires. It'll catch them a lot faster. So those are basically the two main differences of that. The main goal of this is to get everybody fire coverage. These things are very important to make sure that you have them in your home. They are lifesavers, as you can see by some of the data that I went over. If you need any help with install or anything like that, we'd be glad to come out and look, do a safety check, anything like that. Other than that, I hope this video served you well, and if you have any questions, please follow with your local jurisdiction. Thank you.